to be two places. Louise has to be two places at once tonight. So we're gonna go down to new business for her. And then we will move on. And we'll go right down with communications and so forth. So Louise?
Okay, thanks. Thank you for that moment. Yeah, it's so sad. And I guess you're going to also talk about Jeff is making a something for his wife.
Yes.
I don't know. You're gonna do that. Okay. So thanks everybody. The only thing I have to announce is that good news that through the H2H organization and Highstead up in Reading, Norwalk has gotten a 5-star NIFWF grant, a National Fish and Wildlife grant, which is going to be $50,000. Basically, almost all of it, except for about $1,500, is for Norwalk, mostly South Norwalk, and then a little teeny portion of it is for some restoration projects upriver. But it's going to be for planting trees at the two parks, Woodward and Oyster Shell, and planting street trees between. So they'll be subcontracting through Tree Advisory Committee for 10 trees between the two parks, just to, and we'll be working as a team to locate where we can put them. And then the rest of the money is shrubs and all along the riverbank and the inlet there at Woodward Ave. And then also some money is going to I think $4,500 is going to the land trust for their taking the kids over to Farm Creek to learn about riparian buffers and trees. And then $1,000 is going to the FODAR tree school for the Tree Alliance. So it's a great tree focused project for the coming year for us in Norwalk.
Good.
Yay.
Great.
Any questions for Louise?
Thank you for applying.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm so happy about it.
Then let's get back to communications. And Chris, you're at the top of the pile.
Yeah, our 319 request for proposals is on the street now. Most of you probably got 1 or 2 emails announcing it. If you didn't, I can direct you to the website. It's www.ct.gov/deep/NPS would get you there. So yeah, we're accepting proposals up, well, typically up to 250,000, but possibly higher for non-point source pollution mitigation projects. We're definitely interested in the Norwalk River as a high priority. Haven't had, well, did some work in flock process and also at the school in Wilton, but we're definitely willing to entertain Norwalk as a priority. So talk to me if you're interested.
Excellent. Any questions for Chris?
I had a quick question. Many years ago, the city took a look at that stretch north of Perry Avenue, which is a barren land, which is part of the FEMA, or I'm sorry, Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah.
And there were plans and hopes and dreams that could at least be, there could be a better biologic and diversity with some additional landscaping and other infrastructure. And I didn't know if I don't know if the city has shown some interest, Chris, so we could talk offline.
Yeah, let's bring that up with Alexis. I'm sure the Army Corps of Engineers would need to be part of it.
Sure.
And there are rules as far as, that channel probably needs to be maintained for hydraulic efficiency, which means cutting everything down. But, providing some habitat inside the channel. We're hoping, frankly, that the flock process dam coming down would nourish it with some sediments too. So I haven't looked at it since and if there's any changes, but certainly something that the Corps would probably participate in. I don't know if it's a 319 funded project. There may be Army Corps money though.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Excellent. Department of Transportation, did they contact either the Shellfish or the Harbor Commission? And what's up with that? John, did you hear anything? Peter? No?
Nothing yet. I know one thing, they're working on the East Avenue Bridge like a champ. They're closing it every night,
Okay.
which is part of the project.
Anything from Aquaculture? Steve, did you hear anything from them?
Not other than Kristen's departure.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Did she retire?
No, she is
Another
accepted.
job.
Yeah, she accepted a job with the FDA.
Yeah.
Excellent. But sad for us. When is her last day? Do you know?
October 13th.
Yeah, she's been gone.
She's gone. Okay. Do you know who takes her place?
I don't.
Yeah, there's another woman who works in her office who's very competent. I couldn't tell you her name off the top of my head, but I can get that.
Okay. And at the Department of Health. Bill, you want to clue us in how the dye testing's gone?
Sure. Started on October 8th with one house. Did 4 more on October 14th. And I went just about every day to check, and with no indication of any failures whatsoever. Started with the remaining 3 on October 26th when I first dyed them. And I'm so far this week, or since then, nothing to be seen there. And we'll probably be monitoring throughout next week as well. So that's kind of where it's at right now. I haven't seen anything.
Okay, and you said you had one more house to go, I think?
No, there's 8 around there. I did 5 initially.
Okay,
And then what I wanted to do is allow a little leeway in between, starting the remaining 3. And so we did that. So everyone's been dye tested. It's just a matter of finishing out the last 3, monitoring them for tomorrow, and then probably through next week as well.
excellent. Thanks, Bill. And that's in reference to the Wilson Point area.
That's correct, the tidal pond around there. I'm also going to inquire to the marina if they'll allow me to dye test. They have a holding tank. I think it'd be just prudent to try and do that. And there's one other house that's up there on Wilson Ave that I'd like to see if they'll let me dye test them as well. You know, they may choose not to, and that may be it, but I'm gonna ask them anyway to see if they'll do it.
Excellent. Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Bill? Good. Harbor Commission, John, any news?
No, nothing in particular, other than we're hearing that Eversource has applied to the DOT with what their application would be, and we're waiting to get copies of it. I know we're planning some kind of response as well, because we have years of correspondence, and they've still never really directly contacted us.
No.
Excellent. And anything from planning and zoning for anybody? I haven't heard anything since the last meeting.
Well,
John or Peter?
just as an aside, I mean, I really personally have concerns. It seems like I've been hearing from various quarters that deals are already been cut to put apartments on Waterward, on several pieces of property that are
Landward.
marine use only, designated, and that's quite troubling. Just big picture. We have to keep a close eye on that.
Let's hope not, John. Let's hope they see the light. For those of you that are not aware,
Diane is looking, she has her hand raised.
go ahead, Diane.
Oh, okay. I was going to wait for you, Joe. Anyway, I just wanted to make people aware that I just learned the interactive map that the Boston consultants that are doing the zones waterfront study, it is still activated and will be open for our commentary throughout till the end of the month of November. And so on that, you could literally put a dot with, and then write out your commentary and your name if you want for any concerns or additions to that map. So I just wanted to let you all know, we should, big time, we should make sure that we participate in that. It's an added way of reaching out to the public more than the meetings that we attended or observed. So it's a really good time to really pinpoint where our concerns are as individuals, and also, of course, what we all do.
You know, you just brought up something that I failed to report, was that John Pinto is going to represent the Harbor Commission on the committee that's actively working, and I believe Steve Bartish is representing Shellfish. But that is very disappointing because they're dealing with a corridor of properties that are within 1,000 feet of the you know, within our jurisdiction from Harbor, and just to have one person participate in something of the size and magnitude of what they're studying, and especially freezing out our consultant as well, Jeff, who's got invaluable years of compiled information at his fingertips, seems very troubling to me. And I just don't like the way the process is going. If it's going to be more transparent, it should be more inclusive, especially for the stakeholders that are involved. That's it in that regard.
Okay, thanks, John. And anything else on that? This could be a dramatic change for the city of Norwalk. And my gut feeling is it's already in motion. I would hope they start to listen and take into account that this is a working harbor and not a country club. And I think what they're trying to do is convert it into something that looks like downtown Stamford without the marinas and all the other working industry that's on the shores. So we're keeping our fingers crossed, and like Diane suggested, please go to that map and throw your 2 cents into it. Okay, under old business, all the recommendations were sent out 2 weeks ago before the elections. And I sent them out to everybody. I can't say everybody in City Hall because I didn't mail them to the custodial staff, but I sent them to the mayor and to his people that work with him, and then also to every councilman. And I also sent them to a representative of the independent parties so that they would have an idea of what was going on. And I expressed strong feeling to have him mail them out because I didn't have personal email addresses for the people in that working group. So they did go out. And then under the letter that we got from Miami-Dade requesting addresses, I actually followed through on that, and it ended up being a former student who just was trying to figure out how to get in touch with me. But what was interesting is she was following us on Zoom. And as the email said, she's a deputy director for Miami-Dade Department of Environmental whatever. And they're having exactly the same issues we're having here. No change. So she was trying to find out what we were doing. And that's why she's been checking in on the Zoom meetings. And the beauty of that is she can go back and check all of our Zoom meetings, as well as any one of us, to find out, how we're dealing with these things. So the mystery of that has been solved. Now, the next few things, Diane sent out a really nice note on the permits that she found that were issued to Shagbark Road, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And Diane, take it from here. It's all yours.
Okay, well, one of the key questions we had in our, after Miss Linnell Jones, a citizen, brought her concerns to us, there was a lot of discussion over more than one meeting about what mechanisms are currently available for private homeowner associations, neighborhoods, and private roads, as to whether any permitting is needed. As a former regulator, I'm well aware that the details are what count. I was able to get my hands on this permit. I think there's 15 pages total, but it's quite clear to me that there is a mechanism in the state COP program, which as the Harbor Commission and Shellfish weighs in, but Harbor Commission oftentimes rules on COP permits for structures along the coast. But in this case, it just appears that the Wilson Point Homeowner Association back in 2015, they did file for a permit that, again, I didn't dissect the entire thing, but it appears to me to be of equal potential impact and actually less feet of pipe structure than on the other side of Wilson Point, the western side, the Nathan Hale stormwater construction that occurred with pipe laid, new catch basins, and actually a pipe out to the above the mean high water mark. So again, I fully thought, I didn't know I was able to discuss this fully, and maybe we'll just, I just wanted to give this to you all, and in hopes that we could take a look at it and discuss it briefly next month. But I am, two quick things. One is, if in the case of the 2015 permit, which was signed off, Mr. Nagler is the person who signed it off, and he lives at 7, his address is listed as one of the signatories for Wilson Point Homeowners Association at the time. And Mr. Nagler, of course, spoke with us. But what I find, you know, it's a conundrum, it's a question on the table is, if that is the case, why didn't the Nathan Hale construction project qualify, or why didn't they ask for a permit from at least the state of Connecticut? I do know that there are some really great discussions took place about, I think Joe and others had mentioned, a future project of ours could be having a local permitting program. Two quick things. Number one, Alexis Carachetti based her decision of no need for permit or anything locally based upon what the Wilson Point Homeowners Association told her. She did not go down to the site and inspect it. And in a way, I wouldn't expect her to, but that is, she admits or says in an email that she never saw the site. She was just going off of what they told her. You know, as a former regulator, I know a lot of people say it's always better to ask for forgiveness than permission, but I mean, I'm scratching my head about why they were so insistent that they did not need a permit. Number two, I do know the yacht club has permits that they have to file with the state. So permitting is not something that is totally is not unknown by this homeowners association and the yacht club. And so again, based on the discussions that took place and my fervent wish that we want to be welcoming to citizens that bring us initially credible concerns. And I want to be on the record, they don't have to have a water sample and an analysis in order for us to address the issue. That is more our job, or to pass it on to Shellfish or the state. So, I mean, it's just, I'm scratching my head, and I just wanted to offer it to all of you. I will also be sending this to the Shellfish Commission for next month and the Harbor Commission, because it's kind of the opposite of what they were saying. And, you know, I will talk with Chris Malik offline, because this is, you know, different than what our discussions were. So I'll leave it at that.
I'd like to add that I read that permit, and you don't have any wiggle room in there whatsoever. And it's minor. It's to raise the grade on what's the name of the street?
Shagbark.
Shagbart, and then bring 2 catch basins up to grade. That's it. But it goes on for 15 pages. You have no wiggle room whatsoever. You have to tell them who your contractors are. You have to stick to a timetable. I mean, it's very specific. So we'll have to take it for what it's worth.
You know, the good thing about that is it could be a great template for going forward.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, why did this other project slip through the cracks? If it did, I mean, it might have been perceived as something different. So these are questions that, you know, we've got to get that out and talk to different people. And Chris is aware of it now. And Chris, did you get a copy of it? Give me a thumbs up if you did, because you're muted.
You're muted, Chris.
Space bar on, but okay. I just received it. I haven't had a chance to review it. The issue seems to be that there is an outlet within the.
You're muted again.
He has a slippery finger.
Something comment on it as I'm trying to speak. So I'm not looking at the Zoom screen. I'm
Okay.
looking at the permit. So excuse me, Diane, for not being
That's
appropriate.
okay. That's
But,
no, you're good. You're good. We're
No, the
teasing
issue
you.
seems to be an outlet of a drainage that's within the high tide zone. Otherwise, it would not be a certificate or permission. That's why we thought that it was only stormwater permits, and it wasn't necessary to get a stormwater permit. So now, this first time I've seen a plan sheet, I would say, yeah, the COP is appropriate, and it's still, you know, the COP is not a tidal wetlands permit. It's a relatively small structure, relatively low impact. So yeah, the stormwater issue is potentially more of an issue over the long term. It's something that is really what you say, a loophole in the permitting process that probably should be addressed at some point. But you know, that's the COP for the raising the roadway and putting the drainage outlet into the tidal area is you know, that's what the COP was for. So like I said, I can't comment anymore without really looking at it and discussing it with the staff in the permitting section.
Sure. I did just send it to all of you because I just got my hands on it. So anyway, it's food for thought. We can learn from it and also make some decisions. I just remember that the representatives of Wilson Point and the Yacht Club were, I think, quite aggressively in denial and threatening, sending, you know, I just was saddened by their approach to this. And I had flashbacks from when I was a regulator with the state, you know, with people that would sometimes be very strong when they were claiming they don't need to do certain things. I do want to say whatever system we would come up with, if we do for local permitting, I would certainly like to make sure that it is user-friendly. It is as brief as possible, of course, but as thorough as possible. So I too was quite surprised this was 15 pages, but I know the state has a special program in place to have brevity and to try to streamline permits. So anyway, Chris, when you get a chance, I mean, I look forward to your thoughts on it. And I hope maybe next month, if we could just have a brief discussion after we all have a chance to take a look at it.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions or comments? Okay, Dick. The elusive mitten crab.
Yeah, we now got one in Westport, and I got a call from Sarah Crosby, and one of her troopers found a 2-inch female in Dead Man's Brook, appropriately named, I think, but she found it, and I went up and identified it, and sure enough, that's what it is. So the curse is spreading. There's apparently a number of mitten crabs have been found in the Mianus River and also the Mill River. And my bunch leads the pack with 21. And they just told me today that they picked up a crab in the estuary. So maybe they're coming down a little earlier than what I thought. So what we're going to do, hopefully next week, is take the beam trawl and go down the upper part of Saugatuck Harbor and see if we pick up any. So I'm going to check and see how widespread it is, if at all. But there it is.
So as far as you know, Dick, no one has found them in the Norwalk Harbor.
Oh, no. And no one's found them in Saugatuck either. But you know what? They really have to do something like use a beam trawl. And then in Norwalk Harbor, they found nothing.
Okay. Thank you. Any comments or criticisms on that? Okay, moving on. One of the sad parts we have to do is now we can't replace Jim, but we can fill his seat. So we're going to be looking for someone to bring aboard. Louise made a recommendation of contacting the Norwalk Land Trust, see if they had anybody. The other option would be somebody from one of the industries, the shellfish, or even the marina industry. So if you know of anybody who might be interested, please have them contact me and we can add them on. Diane?
I thought that it might be also of interest to see if anyone from the Conservation Commission would want to be a liaison, since I know many of us have felt that they should be more involved with this sort of thing. And so I will inquire some people that I know, but I didn't know, Joe, if you had any thoughts on that.
Not at this moment.
Okay.
To be honest, what I would really desire is a 20-something who graduated with a degree in environmental studies. We got to, I mean, I hate to say it, but Diane, except for you, look at the gray hair here. I mean, realistically, we got to bring some youth into this. And those of us that have hair, it sure is gray. And those guys that don't have hair, you know what I'm talking about. So getting some youth involved would really be helpful. And especially some young, young professionals that are out there getting some experience.
Joe, would there be a commissioner from the waste treatment plant that might
Yeah.
be valuable too?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I was not given any constraints by you or the mayor as to how many we can have on the committee. And I've been knocking on doors, and I just thought of one person who just moved to Norwalk, who is one of the captains on the aquarium's boat, and she has been testing water and capturing all kinds of creatures for probably 10 years now. So she's got a lot of experience under her belt, and I can knock on her door, see if she'd be interested. Okay, any other comments?
So it sounds like it would be great. I have that on my list too, John, and that is a WPCA person, a Conservation Commission person, Maritime Aquarium person. Maybe NCC has some people.
Yeah, I asked Sarah Crosby if she wanted to do it, and she said she can't.
Yeah.
You know, her time is just too limited. And, it would be nice to have a balance of males and females, but also young versus old. And you can knock on doors, but that's all you can do.
What is your deadline for us to get names to you?
There's no deadline at this point, but
Okay.
I'd rather have seats filled rather than left empty. Because the more input we get and the more people we have adding to the discussions, the better off we are. Okay, anything else to cover? If not, this could be an early evening.
Yeah, actually, I have one quick thing, Mr. Chairman. I probably
Yes.
should have introduced it earlier, sir.
Go for it.
I'd like to put a motion on the floor such that our recommendations be submitted by the chair as an article to Nancy on Norwalk, just to see if in fact maybe she'd publish them.
No, she would.
Okay,
Yeah, I could also bring up that the Norwalk River Watershed Initiative met, and there was discussion about hiring a part-time watershed coordinator for the watershed.
Yep.
And that's progressing. So I think we're gonna have another internal discussion in the next week or so to figure out the details on that.
Joe,
Yes.
since an answer and to accompany Mr. Steve Bartush's comment, I was thinking about ways we could utilize this list. Of course, we've created it for the Harbor Management December State of the Harbor event, which is wonderful. But prior to that, I wanted to know if we could, and offline, I will send you more information, but it might be very useful if we had kind of a dog and pony show and ask that we have a place on the agenda for the Conservation Commission, the select council committees. I have one or two that I think would be like the health and safety and the planning committee, the planning and the zoning commission, and possibly the water pollution control authority, where we literally just maybe two of us at a time, just give the list and then answer questions and talk about it. And this would be over months. It wouldn't be all at once, but I really enjoy doing that kind of thing. It's public education, which I know you care about.
so how are you planning to have these people? Because you mentioned the State of the Harbor meeting. That really is owned by the Harbor Commission.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So would you have a separate night for each one of them?
Well, all of these entities that I mentioned, they all have calendar dates where they meet every month, and we could contact their staff representative or the chairman of that entity and say, hey, we'd really like to bring this to your attention. Many of them they do have discussion items at the end of the meeting or sometimes in the beginning. So I think it would be really good, since we all work so hard on this. And I think it would be helpful to let them know we're here, but also maybe even the Shellfish Commission, and another night would be the Harbor Commission. It would be totally up to each of the chair people and the staff, but I'm happy to help you with that. I do enjoy doing that.
We're trying to do that now from the Harbor Commission. We've been discussing it for quite some time, especially the program that we put together for that triad meeting that we had, that we want to go in front of the appropriate committee. It could be ordinance, it could be Park and Rec. But we also want to ultimately be in front of, whether it's a special meeting or at a slow burn, not too much on the agenda council meeting, because the council has a lot of, dedicated people, but they need an awareness, because right now they're being guided by the studies that may not fit and suit the reality of what we as all our commissions and our being the watch guards of the maritime industry within the city of Norwalk. So we want to have an awareness program for the newly anointed council people so that they know when they're voting on these various changes that they may have to vote on. And also the combined planning and zoning commission, that they have a full understanding of what our working harbor is all about. So maybe something can be incorporated within that, call it a dog and pony show,
Sure.
that also gives them an awareness of shellfish, which it does, and water quality, which it touches on somewhat.
Yep. Let's talk offline.
Okay,
So quickly, Mr. Chairman, as a point of order, I put my recommendation in the form of a motion, sir.
okay. So is there a second on Steve's motion to see if Nancy and Norwalk would publish the recommendations we sent out?
I make a motion, Pete Johnson.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay.
And I wouldn't just send it to Nancy, no, I'd send it to the Hour as well. I mean, the paper is riddled with stuff from about Hartford, New Haven, everywhere, anywhere
But
that,
Norwalk,
that Hearst publishes. So they're actually looking for local news, I would think. And what's more local than our harbor?
Friendly amendment to Steve's motion.
yes. I will contact them. Anything else? Okay, we haven't done it for the last two meetings. We need, oh, is there anybody from the public, first of all? Bill?
I'm not seeing anyone.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. So we have the last two sets of minutes here. Are there any changes that have to take place before we approve the minutes? None. Okay, all those in favor of approval of the minutes for 9/2/21 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
John, Pete, Steve, you good? Okay. So that's done. And for the 7th, October 7th. We good with that?
Pete's got his medicine with him, look. That's what's making him better real quick.
How can that not put a smile on your face?
For sure.
Okay. So all in favor of approving the 10/7/21 minutes? Raise your hand. We good? Good. Peter, you in with us? Okay. So our next meeting is December 2. And for the first time in a long time, we can move to adjourn, but before we do this, next month, I cannot attend the meeting. I'm gonna be chasing the elusive whitetail in the mountains of north central Pennsylvania. And I will have no electricity, no running water, and maybe cell phone. If I do text messaging, sometimes I get cell phone, but a lot of times I don't. So you're better off without me. So somebody will have to handle it. I'll set up the agenda and everything else. But December 1, I have to be out there. Okay, so the next meeting is the 2nd. So just giving you a heads up. Can I hear a move to adjourn?
I make a motion, Pete Johnson.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 There we go. We adjourn.
How would I get on to the Shellfish Commission? Would I just go on the city website?
Yeah, Diane, you should be able to get on there. There'll be an IT person if for the public.
Okay,
If you want to be able
sure.
to talk ability.
as a public person. Yeah, thank you.
You know what I'll do is I'll forward you the connection as well, just in case.
Oh, that's okay, Bill. I know how to do that, but
Sure.
thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. I
okay.
appreciate
All
it.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. no
Yeah, I
problem.
appreciate it. Appreciate the thought.
Okay, see you in 2 months.
Hey, Joe, as a quick aside, when I was doing the dye testing a couple of days ago, I saw a big 6-point buck down at Wilson Point.
Uh-oh.
Well, I know for,
Kind of wet your whistle. a little
I
bit.
have seen 12 pointers in there.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
They are well fed. I mean, they're extremely well fed. I mean, the lush green lawns, the plantings that the landscapers put out there. I mean, it's like a smorgasbord for them.
Take care.
And then if they get tired of that, they can walk around. They literally can walk or swim to the salt marsh behind Manresa and have all those Spartina patents that they can possibly consume. So it's a great habitat for them. And there's a lot of turkeys back there too. And I don't mean the two-legged vertical erect type of turkeys. I mean the real feathered turkeys. So
Glad
it's
you
also-
cleared that up.
yeah, thanks. I had to be careful there. But it's also a beautiful habitat for